The funniest thing today is that Trump directly called Harris a piece of shit vice president at the rally. So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you have had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You are a shit vice president. The worst. You are the worst vice president. Kamala, you fired. Get the hell out of here. You fired. Get out of here. There are still 2 weeks until the official election, according to ABC. Early voting shows in key states such as Asia, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Wisconsin, Republican support is up 10 percentage points directly from the 2020 election. Major research institutions, both pro-Democrats and Zoom, predict Trump will win. The king is taking advantage of this momentum. All the characters in the city acted wonderfully. Asker immediately started giving speeches in Pennsylvania wearing a golden mega hat to canvass votes for Trump. His talk received 9.1 million views on X. Harris and billionaire Mark Cuban's speech only had 120,000 views. At the same time, Musk not only donated $75 million directly to political action committees supporting Trump, he also announced that he would give out a $1 million bonus to a random person every day until Election Day. A condition of that is signing his USPAC's petition encouraging Americans to support the Constitution. At the same time, every business leader, because Silicon Valley's technology sector is dominated by, begin to collectively orient toward Trump. A few days ago, Trump revealed Apple CEO Tim Cook calls him to discuss huge EU fine against Apple. Trump told Cook he first needs to be elected. After returning to the White House, he'll take care of it. Why didn't Cook call Harris? Obviously, he and Zuckerberg, Musk, and others have seen some potential trends. As GFKJRB said, it's not that they abandoned the Democratic Party, but the old Democratic Party of the Kennedy era no longer exists. It was the Democrats who abandoned them, and they believe that Trump's current Republican Party is more in line with the values of the Democratic Party of the old era.
You had said before that we left the Democratic Party, that Elon, myself, and Tulsi, I think all of us feel like the Democratic Party left us.
Yeah.
A party that of Robert Kennedy, of John Kennedy, doesn't exist anymore. That was the party that was anti-war. It was the party that was against censorship. It was the party that opposed the corporate takeover of our government. Today, the Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of censorship. It's the party of Wall Street, of big pharma, big tech, big data, big banking, and the military-industrial complex.
Last week, Trump attends L. Smith Memorial Dinner. This dinner is usually the last event the two candidates attend together before the U.S. presidential election, but all the Democratic Party leaders were present. Harris did not attend this time, including Democratic Party leader Chuck Schumer and Bloomberg boss Bloomberg, as well as bigwigs from all walks of life in New York's political and business circles. They warmly welcomed Trump's speech at him. At the same time, none of the Bidens, Obamas, Clintons, Harris.
I used to think that Democrats were crazy for saying that men have
series of jokes,
periods.
even joking about
But
Harris' husband's
then
nanny
I met
problem.
Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Harris, on the other hand, stretched her hips more and more in panic at a Harris canvassing rally. Some say Jesus is Lord. Harris retorted randomly, "You came to the wrong opportunity. I think you should take up opportunities on the other side." As soon as he became the first person since Walter Mondale decades ago, after the first candidate to miss L. Smith's dinner, he started this insult to Christianity, and Mondale lost 49 of the 50 states in the election more than 40 years ago. Harris previously participated in a Fox interview. It was an epic disaster scene. Haha, Sister Kwan, Cheng Dafei asked, fully exposed the true level of a mentally retarded person. It brought us a catastrophic incident comparable to Biden's CNN level.
More than 70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen.
After the interview, host Brett Baer says, at that time, 3 assistants of Harris were directing. He kept waving his hands and saying that he should stop here. Pat Harris revealed. Baer said that he was dealing with 4 people by himself. With the election campaign failing, hidden hatred often comes out. Animosity grows between Biden and Harris. Some days ago, at the funeral of Kennedy JRBE's mother, video of Obama and Biden whispering was exposed by the media. Lip reader reads Biden telling Obama that Harris is not as powerful as him. A Harris aide complained publicly to the media that no one in the White House was making Harris' campaign a priority. Tensions are growing between Biden-Harris campaign veterans and new recruits to Harris-Walz's team. The two groups have conflicting priorities to protect one's heritage. Biden team hopes to tout U.S. economy's resilience in order to win. Harris team hopes to address voters' concerns about lingering dangers of inflation. He has always said it is time to move on from the failed politics of the past. But Biden's people see the obvious problem with the slogan. Biden and Harris have been co-governing for nearly 4 years. He himself is the page he wants to turn. The Harris campaign has struggled in recent days on multiple fronts. Internal data from states including Michigan, Wisconsin, and he's further behind than the polls suggest. Harris conducted a multimedia interview blitz, but he failed because he has no affinity, and it's difficult to answer the host's questions. Oswald's campaign is losing support among low-income men and non-white voters. Obama traveled to Pittsburgh last week, scolding his black brothers for not being excited enough about the possibility of electing a woman to the White House. But it's never a good idea to accuse one's own supporters of sexism. Obama's intervention will only heighten panic among top Democrats. Biden apparently offers no help to Harris. It is generally believed that Biden and his wife Jill remain angry about the way he was thrown out of the race by coup. Harris's problems go beyond that. A few days ago, he invited a rapper to support him, says if Harris is elected, all of America will become like Detroit. Everyone knows Detroit is. What the hell does it look like? City bankrupt, industry transfer, no job opportunities, deterioration of law and order. People flee to other states. When I saw this, I thought he was campaigning for Trump. After all, society curses the United States to become ghost towns like Detroit. What a great assist. These people are so out of touch with the world.
I'm so proud to be from this city. You know, they say if Kamala wins, then the whole country will be like Detroit. Okay? Proud like Detroit.
At the same time, Harris is trying to offset the lack of support for him from black men, launched the so-called Black Male Opportunity Agenda, including obscene reverse organizationalism, $1 million in forgivable loans to black business owners only, and said he would legalize marijuana to support black men. He rejects claims that he prosecuted thousands of black people for marijuana-related crimes during his time as a prosecutor. Not true at all. He says, I'm the most progressive prosecutor in marijuana cases in California. I'm not sending anyone to jail for marijuana possession. As vice president, I have always supported the legalization of marijuana on the agenda. In a recent canvassing speech, he let himself go even more. After early voting begins in Georgia, Jimmy Carter, who is dying, was recently pulled out by the Democratic Party to vote for Harris. Then, Harris said the following.
So look, if Jimmy Carter can vote early, you can too. Shout your own name for a minute.
A bit of a regional joke, that is, whether it is the early voting data or the overall momentum. Harris' chances of winning the White House have all but disappeared. Harris may be slightly ahead in national poll averages, but this is all a lie. His numbers are much worse than Hillary's numbers before she lost to Trump in 2016. At that time, Hillary led by at least 6 percentage points, and Harris is less than 1 year old now. The 6 weeks most likely to determine the outcome of this year's election. Opinion polls show a close race. Both candidates' leads are within the margin of error. Thompson has a clear advantage. He beat poll predictions in each of his two previous campaigns. Even if he loses his re-election bid in 2020, Hayes pins all his hopes on voters seeing him as a force for renewal and change. At first, this strategy seemed to work. Voters seem eager for a younger, less familiar face in the nation's politics. After he has turned this page, we will not go back and wait for slogans to campaign. Harris has been emulating Trump's 16-year strategy. At the time, Trump presented himself as an alternative to the politics of the Bush and Clinton dynasties. The trouble for Harris is, millions of Americans have fond memories of the Trump era, and in the Biden era, inflation soars like a SpaceX rocket. Wars have broken out from Ukraine to the Middle East. Trump brings peace and prosperity. Biden and Harris create inflation. A world in chaos and uncontrollable migration. Voters may not be paying close attention to Harris' conduct as vice president, but they know, of all the failures of the past 4 years, he is Biden's partner. They also know Biden calls him his border czar, so voters hold Harris responsible for the immigration crisis, same as inflation. This is the issue that American voters are most concerned about right now. Harris can't escape the fact that he worked with Biden, nor can he use Trump's age as a campaign target, because he still has to pretend that Biden is still fit to hold office. And his situation is obviously much worse than Trump's, after experiencing everything from criminal convictions to assassination attempts. And what does Trump have to worry about any criticism Harris might level at him? He is getting more and more desperate now. He had to take steps that more confident candidates wouldn't have to take. Interview on Republican-leaning Fox News aimed at attracting anyone in the Republican Party who wants to defect. But the interview only highlighted his weaknesses on foreign policy, immigration, and domestic policy. The Harris campaign also had to make an awkward call: make core voters of the Democratic Party more motivated, even sending Obama to preach to black men. Their enthusiasm is insufficient. Harris has shown signs of a devastating defeat. Trump will likely win a landslide victory.